Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to add new attachments to your weapons in Survival Game Kit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in my mesh here. I'm going to be using the included red dot site, but this will work for any mesh you need. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the blueprints folder, then the attachments folder, and then we're going to right click on master attachment and hit create child blueprint, and I'm just going to name mine red dot 2, and we're going to open that up and bring that over here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the attachment mesh. We're going to set that to our static mesh for our red dot site, like so. And we can just compile and save that. In here you'll also be able to set some of the attributes for your attachment. So if we open up the class defaults, we can find the socket. So this is the socket it will attach to. I'll go into this one a little bit more later on, but we've got some stats that we can affect on the weapon as well. So we can change weapon stats, and that will mean that anything we input into the stats here will add or minus to the weapon's stats. So you can see we can change the spread values, we can change the ammo and reload speeds, we can change the fire rate here, we can change the damage values, and the item is going to be the attachment item, but we haven't set that yet, so we'll do that now. So we're just going to go over to the blueprints folder again, then items, item list, and we're going to create a new row by pressing the plus arrow there, and I'm just going to call this red dot 2, and I'm just going to quickly fill out some information here. So red dot 2, we'll put as weight 0.1. You're going to need the category to be attachment, and we can leave this at none. Not holdable class, but we do need to set the attachment class. We're going to set that to our red dot 2. We can leave these blank. I'm going to tick droppable and set max stack to 1. Then we can go to use text. I'm just going to put attach. And then for the following things, we don't need to change any of these. The icon, I'm just going to use the included red dot icon. Obviously you would fill these out for your attachment. World mesh, you'll use the stack mesh. You may find that it's a little bit too small, so it can be helpful to have a second version of your attachment for when the item's in the world, just to make it easier for players to see. The rest of these I think we can just leave as is. Obviously you've got your sounds, you can set attach and detach sounds, so let's just set attach and detach there. So when we attach and detach the attachment, it will make those sounds. So we can save that now, and then we're just going to go back to your attachment blueprint, and we'll set the item to our item we've just created in the data table. If that list doesn't come up for you, just make sure this is set to item list, just there, and then we can compile and save that. So next we're going to look at the attachment socket. So you're going to go to your weapons skeletal mesh. So the included ones are in meshes, then skeletal meshes. You can see we've got the shotgun M4 on the pistol there. So I'm just going to use the M4 as an example. We'll just quickly get rid of that. If you go to skeleton at the top here, we can just delete this effect. And we've got our weapon here. Now you can see on the skeleton tree, we've got these sockets here, and they're all in different positions. So we're going to want our red dot on the site, but obviously you've got muzzle, left hand, flash, magazine. It really depends on what kind of attachment you're doing. But for us, we're just going to be using the sight, and that's already in a set position. Now, if you've got an attachment that doesn't you don't want it to attach to any of these, you need a new one, you can just right click on here, hit add socket, name it, and then you can position it in the viewport there. So it's that simple to add a socket. But like I said, we're just going to be using the site, and to make sure you get your socket in the right position for your attachment, you can right click on it, go add preview asset, search for your static mesh. So you can see we've got our red dot here. Our scale's a little bit off, but I'll fix that in between. Actually, I'll just preview. Let's see, red dot. I'll use the included one just so you can see. So we've got our site there, and we can see its position, and we can move it about wherever we need it to be. Obviously, you probably want to take off the snapping, but we can move that along, and we can see exactly how our attachment will look on the weapon. Now, you're going to need to remember the exact name of the socket, including capitals and underscores and everything like that. So we know that we want it to be attached to our site socket, so we're just going to copy the name of that to make sure it's exactly the same, and we can go back to our attachment blueprint, and then attachment socket name, we're just going to paste that into there. Now, attachment type is pretty self-explanatory. It's attachment type. So for us, we're just going to leave this at site. This is used to make sure that you can't like attach two sites or two magazines, for example. So we're just going to leave this at site, but obviously you would change it depending on what you need. And then we can just compile and save that. Next, we're going to need to position the ADS camera because this is a site, so we're going to need to set that up. If you're using a magazine or like a muzzle attachment, for example, you won't need to do this part. You should pretty much be done if you're doing like a magazine or anything like that. Obviously, you're going to make sure that you set these values. But for sites, we're going to go into the world. We're just going to you can borrow this one, set its count to 1, and we'll set it to the red dot site. You can see we've got our red dot there. We can load in, and we can go and pick it up. So we've got our red dot site now in our inventory, and I'm just going to pick up a gun, and we'll see that we can't actually attach it. So we're going to need to allow that attachment to be able to go on the M4. So to do that, we're going to go to our blueprints folder, then holdables, then we'll go to our M4 blueprint, and in here we need to look for the attachments, which is under weapon settings, and then allowed attachments, and we'll click the plus element and set this to our red dot 2, and we can compile and then save that. Now if we go back into the world, we can go and pick that up quickly and attach that on, and we can attach it now. So we can get out our gun, and we can go into first person, and we can see we've got our red dot sight. But if I ADS, you can see nothing actually, he doesn't look down our sight, even though I'm in ADS mode. So the easiest way to do this is to hit your Windows key. So we're out of the game now, I've got control of my mouse, and we can go to our blueprints folder, and you want to do this while the game's still running. We can go to our characters, then survival character, and it's a lot easier if you have two screens to do this, but I'm going to try and make it so you can see. Then we'll go to our viewport, and we'll find the ADS camera. So in here, I'm just going to turn down my camera speed a little bit. So in here we can move this camera, and you can see it moves in our world viewport. So we can get the position that we want for our weapon. Now this can take a little bit of work to get it to line up properly. Obviously you're going to want to zoom it in a little bit more, and you can see that as I move it about in the viewport, we're positioning it in the world. So you're going to want to get it to sort of line up with our sight here. This looks pretty good for me, but you get the idea. You can even rotate the camera if you need to. But next, once you've got the position set, we're going to copy our location from the transform here. So right click, copy, and then we'll go to our attachment blueprint, which is here. Just minimize this one. And then in our attachment blueprint, we can hit stop to stop the gameplay. And we can go down to camera location. It might be minimized, so just open that up. You can see we've got one for each weapon. If you've got a new weapon, you can just add that in and set its blueprint there. But we don't need that one. So we go back to class defaults. I'm just going to open up the M4 one, and we can paste in the location there. So we can compile and save that now. And we're just going to go back to our character blueprint quickly, and we'll reset to default the location of the camera and just compile. Might take a couple of seconds, but you can see our camera's just bounced back to where it was, and we can close that out now. And when I hit play, we will load in, and it should now remember where our socket was, or where our camera was, sorry. We can attach that, and we can see that he's now looking down these sights where we need it to be. Another good way to do this is if you want the crosshair to still show up when you're ADSing, just so you can get it like right in the middle, we can go over to the blueprints folder, then HUD, and go to the, have a search for it, inventory HUD. Then we'll go to graph, and we can go visibility, set crosshair visibility, and then ADS we'll just hit connect true to visible. Now this is, I'm just doing this so it will make it a little bit easier for you to move the red dot sight into position. So we'll just compile that, jump back in. We can pick up our sight, attach that quickly, and we can zoom down. You can see we've actually still got our crosshair, so we can see that our sight's a little bit off there. So that will just make it easier to position, but I'm not going to bother doing that because I've shown you guys how to do that. But that will make it a bit easier, so you know that you're getting your sight right in the middle of the screen. And then obviously just to disable that crosshair when you're ADSing, just go back to the inventory HUD and then connect true up to hidden. So that should pretty much be it. You should have your attachment now, attach it to your weapon. You can set up your sight properly, and you can set the values that you need for your attachment in here. If you have any questions or any problems, please let me know in the comments, or you can check me an email.